both these cases, the 2006 Mumbai train blast and then 2008 Malegaon blast case. Both these cases, remember, they came with a heavy cost in this country. Terror cases in which people died, lives were shattered, many left injured. 17 people were acquitted after almost 2 decades, 19 years in the Mumbai train blast case, and now all the 7 accused have been acquitted in the Malegaon blast case as well. The question is, if nobody bombed Malegaon, if nobody in fact is responsible for the death of 180 people in the Mumbai train blast case, if all the accused are acquitted, then where is justice? What face do any political party or we as a society take to the people, those who lost their lives, their loved ones, their families, and those whose lives are completely disrupted after these bomb blast cases? It's the same story which repeats itself. No conviction, lack of key evidence is what courts say time and again in key terror cases. Why are these cases falling apart? Is there a crisis of the criminal justice system in this country? Why is the justice failing the victims? Why is it falling through the cracks? If no one bombed Malegaon, no one bombed Mumbai trains, then who did it? When will there be closure for the terror victims? And there are too many agencies, governments, political pressure, which is ensuring that justice is denied to the victims of these terror cases? I want to very quickly tell you, ladies and gentlemen, it took 17 long years even for this acquittal to come. Let me just very quickly tell you what exactly happened as far as the Malegaon case is concerned, where the court today has acquitted all the 7 accused. The blast took place in year 2008. 8 people were killed. 95, at least the court, 100 plus were the charge. 95, the court admitted, have been injured in this. In 2025, all the accused have been acquitted after 17 years. The court said that anti-terror law can't be invoked as far as this case is concerned. The court gave benefit of the doubt to the accused. Suspicion not enough for conviction is what the court said, and also said no evidence against the accused. And the court said that though religion in fact can't be mixed as far as a terror is concerned, but it put the blame purely on the prosecution and the investigating agencies for failing to prove the case. Absolutely similar of what happened in the Mumbai train blast case as well just a few days back. Let's listen in to some reactions on this.
अभी मैंने 3 साल पहले संन्यास ले लिया। हमारा घर छूट गया, परिवार छूट गया, माता पिता छूट गए, भाई छूट गए, घर छूट गया। समाज से हमारे कलंकित नाम आया आतंकवाद करके, हम कहीं भी जा नहीं पा रहे। उसकी भरपाई कौन करेगा, बड़ा प्रश्न है। मैं फिर बोलता हूँ, ये फैसला है, न्याय नहीं है। ये न्याय नहीं है। जब तक जो दोषी है इसके, जो इन्होंने केस को फ्रेम किया है, जब तक वो कन्फ्रेम नहीं आएंगे, तब तक न्याय नहीं माना जाएगा।
I am extremely grateful to all of you. I am extremely grateful to the environment, to my nation, and all those who stood by me. I am extremely grateful first and foremost to my organization, which is known to hold the hand of their own soldiers and their own officers. I am repeating myself, there cannot be a better organization than the Indian Army. Please note this. I will not make any statement which will have a political tinge. I was accused of something. Today I have been exonerated. I am out of it. I am happy about it. I am grateful to my lawyers.
Now let me also take you to what happened in the 2006 Mumbai local train blast case. In 2006, this blast, the bombs on this train in a suitcase, in a pressure cooker, ripped apart this train. 180 people lost their lives. 800 plus were injured. 7 bombs went off within 11 minutes. In 2015, the trial court convicted 12 accused. After 10 years, all those accused have been acquitted by the High Court. The Bombay High Court, acquitting the accused, said prosecution failed to prove the case. Evidence lacked concrete facts. So once again, lack of evidence, in fact, was the charge. Why are the prosecution, the investigating agencies failing to make watertight case, and who is responsible? Should now responsibility be fixed in such high-profile cases? Is there political pressure? To try and understand that, I have two legal luminaries also, those who are part of a political party. Vivek Tankha first is joining me. We'll also go across to Manan Mishra, BJP MP, in a short while from now. But Vivek Tankha, senior advocate and member of the Congress Party, Rajya Sabha MP, thank you so much for speaking to us. Let me start by asking you, as a lawyer, Mr. Tankha, the courts have mentioned one thing categorically. Prosecution has failed to prove their cases, both in the Malegaon and the Mumbai train blast case. They have said lack of evidence. It shows that the investigating agencies were either, the investigation was either done, not done properly, or the conclusion was reached even before the evidence was gathered, sir.
I completely agree with you. I mean, there's no question of any disagreement. Now, this word used by the court because of lack of evidence, that is a technical word that every court would use once they're acquitting somebody. The question is, what is that evidence which it lacked? And what is that evidence which could have been produced and which was not produced? Sometimes a good evidence is produced but not believed. Maybe something the High Court believes, the Supreme Court may not believe, or Supreme Court believes, the High Court may not believe. So there are perceptions of opinions expressed through various judgments. But my question is that generally in these high-profile cases, the investigation must be so tight and so good that it should be seen as an example of prosecution. You can't have haphazard investigations or haphazard presentation of cases. Believe me, I've been a lawyer for 45 years now. My impression is that with change of government, the prosecution's vigor to pursue cases also diminishes or increases sometimes. I mean, you have to remove politics from law and prosecution.
Right.
Investigating agencies should not be reporting to governments. The prosecuting agencies should not be reporting to governments. Separate all this from politics. Otherwise, with all kinds of political dispensations and all kinds of beliefs, you will keep finding this issue happening again and again. And at the end of the day, who is suffering? People of India.
Okay.
Right. I mean, in cases after cases, if the court says the investigation was not good enough or the presentation of evidence was not good, now who do you blame? At the end of the day, after 17 years.
Sir, the point well taken. While you are saying, politics should be kept away from prosecution and investigation, but time and again, we have seen in such cases how they have been used as a political weapon as well. Both Malegaon and the Mumbai train blast cases have been used as a political weapon. So, do you believe that, in high-profile cases such as this, in terror cases, right from the beginning, the police, the agencies are under pressure to produce the result that helps possibly the ruling government of the day?
In a generic way, that has been so portrayed in India, in a generic way. In a specific case, if you ask me, I would not have knowledge. But one thing is for sure, in a good system of criminal administration of justice, the prosecution should be reporting to the Attorney General. It should not be reporting to the Law Minister or the government. And it's the Attorney General, the post of Attorney General should be an independent post. It's high time we thought of these amendments in the Constitution and law. Otherwise, your whole administration of criminal justice is collapsing. Would you want this to continue like this? Okay. And where is the belief of the people now in the administration of justice then? Whether it be the court or whether it be the prosecuting agency or whether it be the investigating agency, they all must inspire confidence and trust of the people. Otherwise, this system will collapse.
And that confidence, at least when we see after almost 2 decades, cases go unsolved, accused are acquitted, then people ask the question, then who actually did these things? But let me ask you this then. The prosecution of such cases, and a point in example is the Malegaon case. It happened under 2 governments. One, of course, for the first 6 years under the UPA and now for the last 11 years under the NDA government, under the present regime of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. I want to understand from you, on one hand, there have been accusations that it was a motivated case in the investigation right from the beginning. In between, there were allegations that when the government changed, the NIA asked the investigation or the prosecuting agency to go slow. In both these cases, both the governments seem to be working in their own interest rather than in pursuit of justice.
Crime is a crime. How does it matter which government is in power? If somebody has killed people through a bomb blast, he or she, maybe anybody, it doesn't matter. But there is a duty cast upon the prosecution to do a fair investigation. There is a duty cast upon the lawyers representing the prosecution also after a good investigation to ensure that the presentation is proper. And all this must happen in a time frame. 17 years itself signifies a collapse. Was it because the accused were not cooperating? Why were the adjournments being granted? Or it was because of volume of evidence? If it's volume of evidence, why a day-to-day trial was not happening and finishing in 2 years or 3 years maximum?
Okay.
I know there are lots of questions which can arise in these cases. But the fact is, time has come. You can, in retrospect, you can keep criticizing A, B, C, D. But I'm not on criticism. I'm on the failure of the system.
Okay.
And I see this failure on the face staring at all of us. And if this is not rectified, by bringing a new CRPC or a new Evidence Act or a new IPC, by giving it new nomenclatures, has anything improved? Nothing has improved. That's what I was saying from day one. That don't go by nomenclatures, don't go by slogans.
Okay.
You must have real expertise and fairness in the system.
Mr. Thakur, in conclusion, let me ask you this. Isn't it time now, high time now? Because, investigating agencies, if there are allegations of motivated investigation, of improper investigation, whether it is against, they're targeting somebody or doing it on, political behest, isn't it time, sir, to penalize the agencies when their cases fall flat on their nose in such important cases after years and years of prosecution, sir?
I agree that everybody has to be accountable. Investigating agencies have to be accountable. Prosecuting agencies have to be accountable. And now we are even saying judges have to be accountable. So nobody is beyond being accountable. But at the end of the day, we'll have to also rectify our systems. If your systems are created to fail, then what sort of accountability you are talking about?
Okay.
Are you designing your systems to fail or are you designing your systems to succeed? That is the question I'm asking you.
Mr. Thakur, thank you so much for speaking to us at this moment on, bringing us your legal expertise as far as these cases are concerned. You've given some important suggestions. I hope that those who are in position to implement them are listening at this moment. Let me very quickly also go across to BJP Rajya Sabha MP, Senior Advocate Manan Mishra, who is joining me at this moment. So thank you for speaking to NDTV. Let me start by asking you the larger question that we are asking this evening is, an example is the Malegaon case, example is the Mumbai train blast case. Almost 2 decades of trial, no one is guilty. Where are we failing?
See, there are two aspects you have to consider. One, the prosecution, if in order to save the skin of the real culprits, name some other innocent persons, then ultimately the prosecution is bound to fail. The prosecution cannot prove their involvement in the crime. Other aspect is sometimes the prosecution, the investigating agencies, they don't do their work properly. They fail to collect the important evidences. In that case also the prosecution fails. But here is a case where everybody knows, every Indian knows that all the 7 accused persons were falsely implicated. In the name of this Hindu terrorism, Bhagwa terrorism, the innocent people, they were implicated, and now they have been acquitted. After 17, 18 years of prosecution, they had to face the trial. They had to face the investigation.
Right.
See the mental torture, and you can imagine the mental harassment which they have suffered.
I agree with you, and that's the same question that we asked even when the Mumbai train blast case accused were acquitted. They spent almost 2 decades behind bars, and now to be acquitted, who is responsible for that? But I want to ask you this: in both these cases, the UPA government initially and now 11 years of Modi government, have both the government failed in providing justice to the victims?
Naturally, it is certainly an injustice to the victims and their family. Nobody can deny this. But the issue is that at that time, UPA government was there. The investigating agencies, they were in the hands of the UPA government. The case was handled in such a manner that the real culprits were not brought in to picture, and the innocent people, they were implicated, they were involved in the case, and because of this false implication, now they have been acquitted.
But is it happening because of the political pressure that the investigating agencies and prosecutors face from the government of the day, possibly in high-profile cases? I mean, it looks like that these cases are made from the beginning to fail, sir.
Sometimes you are right, sometimes it happens, but not all the times. Investigating agency, maybe CBI, maybe police, maybe NIA, they are supposed to perform their duties impartially, fairly. Now, if they are being influenced by some politicians, then it is actually fault on their part. Therefore, I think that normally the investigating agencies, they are to do their work independently without being influenced by any government or any politician. Here in this case, I think that the very implication of the accused persons, that was at the instance of the politicians and the government, and that is why after 17 years of trial, after 17 years of long prosecution, today the result has come.
But do you also believe that one reason of the investigation not being done properly is multiple agencies working on the same case? In Malegaon case, it was first the Mumbai police and the Maharashtra ATS came in, and then after that it was the NIA. All these agencies in different tenures of different governments possibly working in opposite direction, and that is why proper evidence could not be produced in front of the court.
Certainly, most of the times we see that if more than one agency is involved, then there are chances of acquittal. But here, everybody knows that this was a political case. Politically, they were implicated. The real culprits, they should have been brought on record. They should have been named, and the result would have been otherwise if the real culprits would have been brought into picture in this case. Here, after a long time, after you see, there were 323 witnesses. 26 went hostile. 323 witnesses were examined.
Okay.
See, there was no need of bringing on record so many more than 300 witnesses in the case. That itself shows that it was a very poor prosecution. The prosecution case was very poor, and that is why in order to prove its case, they had to bring on record 323 witnesses.
So let me very quickly ask you in conclusion, because you are saying it was a poorly investigated and poorly presented case, should the officers investigating and the prosecutors prosecuting it, should there be some penal action against them as well?
Speaking for myself, my opinion is there should be a law where if the investigation is faulty, if the IO investigating officer is negligent, ignorant, or if he is deliberately and purposely, if he fails to bring on record the evidences, material evidences, then some action should be taken against such IOs and such agencies.
Thank you so much, Mr. Manan Mishra, for speaking to us here on Nationwide at 6 and presenting the point of view as a senior lawyer on this very case. Let me, because ladies and gentlemen, the big question also then that begs to be asked is, who is responsible if these people are not? What can be done now? And should there be some action against the investigating agency if they're in the beginning, they have a theory first and then they are trying to collect evidence to back their theory? Are the investigating agencies lacking the skill to investigate such big cases, terror cases? Let me very quickly go across to Mr. Yashovardhan Azad, former top cop former senior IPS officer. So thank you so much for speaking to us. Let me begin by asking you, sir. We had two lawyers from senior lawyers from the different spectrum of the political class speaking on this. I don't want to get into politics. I wanted to understand, because that's the big question that people are asking today. Why do our agencies fail to make watertight cases in such high profile, terror cases? Two examples in just a span of 15 days, sir.
No, I absolutely agree with you. In fact, what we have seen in both the cases, that they've virtually ripped apart the investigation and also the prosecution. But I have two views on this. One is, as far as the investigating officers go and the investigative agencies go, it's extremely important to put the right people at the right place. And I'm not too sure whether that is being done or that has been done throughout, in fact. Favorites are posted. Sometimes you get the right people. And there is already a system within every police organization that if an important case fails, or if it is due to the negligence of a particular officer, he's removed from the post or he's reprimanded. I can tell you personally that in this particular case, the officers who are in the NIA is a crack investigative agencies, some of our finest investigators there. One of them in that period doing this case was late Sanjeev Kumar Singh, who's an outstanding officer from Madhya Pradesh. Now the question is, why does this happen? You have already mentioned one of the reasons how this case went over, in different regimes to different people and different organizations. Makoka was, dropped, rightly so, because that is different. UAPA has more political and ideological basis for this. But there was a lot of unique public and political pressure on this on this case right throughout. So number one, if you have investigative agencies free from political influence, you will immediately start seeing the results. That is number one. And number two, I'll tell you that the prosecution of ours lies in a tattered state. I mean, there might be some notable prosecutors in special cases where you hire them specially. Right. But otherwise, the normal prosecution is in a real bad shape. So I would say investigative agencies, the choice of right people, and the most important, their autonomy in investigations.
So do we understand what you are saying, sir, from this, and you have enormous experience in the department, that in such high profile cases, is there a problem that right from the beginning, because of the political pressure of whichever government is in power, there is already a theory that officers are supposed to pursue, and then the case is made around that instead of other way around? See what the evidence is pointing out and then form a case.
No, not really. I would say, whenever it involves a person of some political standing or some political aspect, then the case starts deteriorating. And that is when the whole thing starts. If there are people involved who have connections with politics or who are with some particular organizations, that kind of starts impacting the case, and then the middling of the investigation starts. If you have a proper, there are two things. One is, there might be, if you have outstanding officers, they'll collect the best evidence, unless they are ideologically perverted, or there is a mix-up, or they have been lured to do something else. Why would a normal IPS officer, not collect the proper evidence? And these cases are really supervised so well. So one is, either the full evidence could not be collected, it cannot be collected in 100% of the cases. Secondly, the prosecution is twisted politically or ideologically to not to cover it well, to defend it well, or to accuse it well. And the third is, of course, at the level of judge, as Vivek Tanka, my good friend, said, there are differing perceptions. For them, the trial court thought that everybody should be convicted, and the High Court says that nobody should be convicted.
Right.
So there are three levels in this also.
Very quickly, in conclusion, sir, because you heard both the lawyers speaking about one fact, that it is also time to try at least consider some sort of penalty, some sort of penal action if in such cases the court acquits somebody of complete lack of evidence, or there is at least an insinuation that people were being charged or framed to try and pursue a line of prosecution. Do you also agree with that?
Well, I think it would, if I were the DG of NIA, first thing I would see is where is the investigation lapses that has been pointed out by the court. It's a regular exercise. It's done. That is how, on the basis of which you appeal against a particular case or not. But, the most important thing is, I think it's time when the lawmakers should reflect. These MPs in parliament should discuss instead of shouting.
Yes.
What should we do to sharpen the teeth of our investigative agencies and get more convictions? And for that, even we have to, sort of let hold of them.
Yes.
The iron grip that we have over their transfers and minor things. If we let them go, I think things would be much better.
Absolutely. It's been years that there have been discussions on police reforms, keeping the law and order and the investigating part of the police, into two different forces, or at least two different arms of the policing. And we've just have heard lip service from our, governments, member of parliaments across party lines on that. High time that we start thinking about this. Thank you so much, Mr. Yashwardhan Azad, for speaking to me on this very important issue. With that, we are slipping into a very short break.